Okay guys, so we're down to kind of the final details so we can get this thing fired up for the first time. Today we're going to be dealing with the wiring, and it's not as bad as you might think. This is 1970, you have to remember. There ain't no computers, there ain't no electronic stuff hardly. Your ignition, that's about it. Lights, charging system. And basically what I have laid out here is the entire wiring for the front half of the car. We've got new battery cables, positive and negative. The ones Dad had were not that great. We have a little kit here that's going to change the externally regulated alternator to an internally regulated alternator. It's just a little kit with a plug. It actually has two plugs here to plug in the internally regulated alternator into the wiring. We've got a new, they call it the light side harness. I believe that's what it's called. We got this from National Parts Depot. They're calling it a front light harness with factory gauges, and this is for a 70 Camaro, but it's a lot more than lights, guys. This has quite a few things. It's got the regulator wire, and this is where that one of those plugs is going to go to make it work with an internally regulated alternator. I'm guessing this is the coil wires and stuff. I haven't really laid it all out. Most of this, like I said, is lights. And we are using a little bit of the old harness. We thought that was the whole deal, but there's another piece to this. Here's the block that bolts into the block under the firewall, and it's two pieces. You can see the piece we bought here, this new piece, the little block slides into that and locks in, and then you bolt it down. So this is the little piece of the old stuff we're going to have to use. It's not in bad shape, guys. We can work with that. I just kind of cleaned it up. They've got all these old connectors and stuff, but you know what? That's what they used back in the day, and it worked. So we're not going to mess with any of this unless we find some bad wires. I do have this one here. I have no idea what that goes to, but it's in pretty bad shape, so we'll probably have to splice it for a new wire. We've got I'm guessing this goes into the starter. These wires here, because they were kind of oily. I cleaned them up. This one here is stained pretty bad. I can't even get the color off it, but I'm pretty sure that goes to the starter. I'll have to figure all this out, guys. We've got a little deal here that goes up on the firewall. All these wires kind of pass through behind the distributor is where that went, or above it. And then you've got, you got wipers, windshield washer pump, some of this harness here goes to the heater. We got the blower motor. I believe this harness goes over there. It ain't going to be hard, guys, once we start laying this out, because all the wires are kind of going to fall into place. Where they need to go, because there's just not that many. Oh, one other thing, we're gonna have to swap out this brake proportioning brake plug, because this is the newer style, and what we've got on here, I think this is it. This is the old style for the older proportioning valve that they had in the braking system. So we'll have to clip that, put this new one on. That's pretty much it, guys. There's a little deal here. I'm not sure where that goes. Dad got that for his car a while ago. It's a little junction for something. But I think he's got a manual. I'll maybe have to pull that out, give that a look over. Okay, guys, so Yesterday we tried like heck to get this thing able to do the first fire up. It wasn't meant to be. We lost a few parts, couldn't find them, so that cost us quite a bit of time, but we did find all the parts. We found some gauges that we're going to use. I didn't want to fire this thing up blind, so we're going to get those gauges hooked up before we fire this thing up. We've got to bleed the master cylinder and the brakes. I want to do that before I do the first fire. Wiring. The wiring is pretty much in place. Got everything. Got the main deal plugged in. Got the new wire on the brake proportioning valve. Got the wires under here. The voltage regulator's been replaced with that piece. That's the horn relay, I guess. And then you run the wires are run through here. Well, you got headlight wires and stuff here. And you got a marker light wire here that's gonna go to this marker light over here. Wiring harness goes along there. You've got another headlight plug for this side, another wiring or marker light. Then you've got a little junction back here that gets power from the main positive. That goes to that horn relay, I believe. And I think it would go to the voltage regulator too if there was one. And I got my positive cable, I got that run to the starter. And I've got this little wire runs to that little junction box there. Alternator wire here runs up. Kind of sloppy and weird that they run like this across there, but that's what they do. I gotta get this all tightened and cleaned up. Gotta tighten my alternator wire. And here's the blower motor wire. Got some wires here that we ain't gonna use. This wire here went to the starter, but this new starter doesn't have three prongs to put a wire on, so I don't know if this needs to go to a 12-volt power source or not. This goes to the positive side of the coil, I believe. Got the wiper and washer pump plugged in. Again, there's another plug here. I don't think we're going to use that. And then we've got oil pressure wire. Again, we're not going to use that either because we've got a nice gauge for that. But anyway, got a few things like heater hoses and stuff we got to do. Tighten some wires, secure some stuff. And hopefully we'll add some fluids to this thing. Oh, test fit in the shroud. I think we're going to be able to make the original one work with a little bit of modification. But we're getting close, guys. A lot closer than we were. Well, we're adding fluids, guys. That means we're getting closer. Two hard days of work on this thing, and we're getting a little closer yet. You see, you got the heater hoses in place, got them secured. I'm just using some zip ties for now. Got this a little better looking, tied together. We got the fan shroud in place and solid. I had to make some brackets down below and bolt it on so it's nice and secure. Fans on. We had a little bit of, once I put the antifreeze in, water neck started leaking. Now this is one of those O-ring water necks. The intake was a little bit pitted in there, so I had to take that off. I got RTV in there now and a new gasket, so I think we're going to be okay there. We got the water temperature probe going right there in the block, and it goes back into the car. Got the oil pressure right there, port. That's normally where this oil pressure, this might have been an idiot light, but that's where that went, I believe. We replaced it with a mechanical oil pressure gauge. Same with this mechanical temperature gauge. I think the factory one was electric. There's a wire in this harness right here for it. It's green. So we've got that. Now I got to put the fluid back in. I actually forgot to put that in there, and I was putting antifreeze in it, and that started leaking out and made a mess. But you're gonna forget those little things, guys, especially with as much stuff as we got to do here. But working away at getting all this buttoned up, guys. Got the booster line here. I gotta tighten this hard line up. We need a clamp for this. Probably a clamp for this one. This one's pretty tight. Gotta tighten that up. We've got also the transmission modulator in the back of the transmission. We got that vacuum line hooked up. I was gonna make a new line, but we found the steel line. I know it kind of looks bad, kind of sticking up that way, but you know, that's the way they did it. It's bolted on to the back of the transmission there with the dipstick of the transmission. Modified my fuel line here a little bit to get it to fit better. Never could get a clamp on this thing. I don't know if it's going to shake or not. We'll have to see about that. We've got the gas pedal in place, bolted down. We had to get new bolts. Couldn't find the original ones. I couldn't get this bracket to work in there. The top of it here was hitting the top of the metal dash, and there was absolutely no way to get this in there. So I don't know how that was bolted in. I looked at my 91 Chevy truck, and all it is the pedal. It has no brackets like this whatsoever on it. So that should work. Seems to be working. We're just going to leave this out for now. This switch here, we're kind of confused on what it does. It works when you go to like full throttle, wide open throttle. I looked it up on National Parts Depot, and according to what I've seen there, this is for like a Turbo 400. Still don't understand that, because even a Turbo 400 isn't electronic. Neither is a Turbo 350. There's no electronic stuff on it, so not exactly sure what this is. Dad did have a parts car, so I don't know if it came off that car or what, but I don't think it came on his car. Okay, so another thing I've changed up here is on the master cylinder. What I did is I took the proportioning valve. After looking at this thing for a little while, I actually flipped it around. I had to rework my bracket that I made, but you can see here it's a much cleaner look. It kind of simplifies my wires or my lines a little bit too. For one thing, this line that goes to the rear, now I can bolt it right straight into the proportioning valve where I had a little adapter before. Another thing is this here, instead of having this S shape that went back on this side, all I got is this kind of loop that goes into there. So it just kind of made everything a little more simpler. The front lines kind of routed a little better and a little further away from the steering column. So that's another change I made. I don't know, just after looking at it, it come to me, I don't know why I didn't do this to begin with, but figured I better do it now before we get brake fluid in there. But I'm real happy with that, having it this way than the other way. Okay, so we don't have the power steering pump on this thing. I'm still waiting for hoses. But good thing about these old cars is the alternator water pump belt is separate from that. So you don't really need a power steering pump on there. We're not going to be steering. This thing's going to be on the hoist anyway.
You gotta push it down. I don't know where. You ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah, just crank it a little bit, see what it does. Watch your oil pressure, what do you got? Yeah, you ain't got no fuel, so it ain't gonna... There's no fuel up here.
You dump some in?
Down the way.
Yeah, I'll tell you if I'm in the way. I'll tell you if I'm in the way. It's got fuel there. Just let it sit here. Let the starter.
I'm gonna let the starter.
Yeah, let the starter. We got fuel though. I'm in here.
Fire.
Yeah, I'm in here, so don't start. Don't crank. It's gonna fire the next time, I think. You got oil pressure?
It's moving a little bit. It won't take it where I want to start.
What is that?
What is it?
I got fuel.
Huh?
I got fuel.
I know.
I'm in here, so don't do nothing.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't snug that one up anymore.
You got a line wrench?
Yeah, that's leaking. That fitting there is leaking.
How bad? Which one is it?
That copper one, copper nickel one.
The right kind for that fit.
I'm still getting fuel.
Leaking?
Yeah, I think so.
How much?
That's on my fingers. I can't crank that down anymore. I'm gonna spin it.
Well, you got a thing to hold the line?
I'm spinning my line and it's gonna hit.
You getting anywhere?
I might have got it. Well, let's see if she... Don't let it run too long if it goes. Yeah, I didn't loosen up the distributor.
Uh-huh.
I didn't loosen the distributor up.
You should have a little bit loose, man, so that you can turn a little bit. Well, maybe we ain't doing that anyhow tonight.
Well, no, let's see what it does.
You ready?
Yeah. You're gonna be loud.
Yeah. I like that. For 55 pounds of oil pressure. And we don't know if that's working.
Yeah, I don't.
What?
I think we got. I don't think it's leaking anymore.
I wish I had a windshield.
Well, you want me to loosen that up so we can? Is it running right or not?
You know what? Can you turn it? And you got don't you know? Can you turn it both ways once to see how once it's idling? Just turn it a little bit and do it like give it best sound. Otherwise, you have to do a timing, which we might should do anyhow.
Need. I think my universal's right.
You don't have to be real tight, but just enough where. We're gonna need a lot of sound out in there.
It's sticky in here. It smells.
Why is it loud in there?
Yeah.
You got no carpet, no. You wanted it loud.
I want it. That's what I want it for.
Oh.
Well, we can swap them out.
Oh no, I don't want to
We
yet.
can swap them out if it's too loud. It's just clamped.
Oh.
No.
Oh, making fuel down here, is it? Alright, see what she does.
Smells like water, hot water.
What?
Smells like hot water.
Oh, it sounds
Sounds like
really
a
good.
race track. How's it sound out there?
Sounds loud.
How's the motor sound?
It's quiet.
Huh?
It's quiet, really. Well, it says we need to add a little bit, but I think we'll be okay here. You got any water temperature coming up?
Maybe a little bit. We ain't ran enough to. It don't start to 100 and something. I think 140. I think it is coming up, but
It's leaking again, that fitting.
which one?
That fitting up front.
The gas?
Yeah. It's got wetness on it again. Okay guys, so first fire went fairly well. Everything actually worked really good. Only issue we're having is this fuel line that I made right here out of the nickel copper is leaking. I should have probably made that out of steel instead of the nickel copper, but I thought it would look better and stay looking better. But I'm gonna have to make a new line for that, and if that don't work, I'll have to get maybe some AN fittings and stuff like that. But Another little issue we're having is, I think the water pump, I think that seal back here, it was dripping. I don't see it dripping today, but it was dripping yesterday. I'm hoping that maybe some heat cycles and stuff kind of swells that seal back up maybe and seals it. If not, we'll order another water pump. But we're gonna leave that for now because it's just it was a very small drip. But that water pump's been sitting dry for, you know, around 20 years, so probably should have replaced it. Thinking back now, should have just got a Edelbrock aluminum one, painted it and been done with it. But we didn't. So, but anyway, like I said, first fire went off pretty good. Didn't get to run it very long because of that gas line. Obviously, you don't want to run the leaking gas line very long. The rear tires were spinning. We thought we had this in neutral. Apparently not. So I got to hook up the shifter linkage today. I'm going to do that so we know it's in neutral. It's on the hoist, so most of the weight's off the wheel, so it wasn't going to go anywhere. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. This might be a long one because of the first start. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Worked all week, cleaned up, clean cut, and clean shaved. I got the cover off the 68. I fired it up and let them horses sing a little pretty thing, a little tan leg Georgia dream.